Ladies and gentlemen, there is a gaze we all know well, the long, unblinking, ancient stare of a cat. It is neither pleading nor submissive. It is not the gaze of a dependent creature. It is something older, something stranger. We often assume that we are the masters of our pets, that we are their caregivers and their protectors, perhaps even their parents. But this assumption arises from the illusion of human supremacy, through the anthropocentric lens through which we view all relationships. In truth, when your cat looks at you, it does not see a human being as you define one. It does not even recognize the concept. It sees a figure, an entity, that moves within its psychic landscape, not entirely unlike a god. To your cat, you are a presence immense, mythic, unpredictable. You are the bringer of sustenance, the voice that echoes through the chambers of their world. You are the keeper of the door between freedom and confinement, between silence and stimulation. But most profoundly, you are a living symbol, something closer to an archetype than an individual. This is not a relationship built upon names or language. It is a symbolic encounter. The cat, solitary, self-contained, does not bind itself to roles or hierarchy. It understands reality through instinct, gesture, and presence. In its dreamscape mind, you are not Sarah or David or my owner. You are the great mover, the shaper of environment, the echoing voice. You are quite simply a force. There is something in this relationship that reveals a forgotten truth about ourselves. We are not always the rational, coherent beings we pretend to be. We are also rituals and shadows. We are habits made flesh. To your cat, your return each evening is not mundane. It is the return of the sun. Your anger is a storm. Your affection is a sacred warmth. And when your cat gazes at you in stillness, it is not mere observation. It is a kind of divination. It is reading you the way ancient priests read entrails or stars. It senses moods we do not name, shifts in our invisible atmosphere. It knows when the soul recoils, when the unconscious stirs. So understand this: your cat does not see you through the sterile lens of biology. It sees you in the way myth sees gods, in symbols, in rhythms, in the invisible. You are not human to them in the narrow sense. You are something larger, stranger, more whole and more fragmented at once. And perhaps, in some hidden part of yourself, you see them the same way. You are a symbolic presence, not a person. This is a truth that slips beneath the surface of ordinary awareness, obscured by our need to define the world in terms of roles, relationships, and categories. In the eyes of your cat, however, such delineations hold no meaning. What you call yourself, a human being, an individual, a name, these things are abstractions your cat does not recognize. Your cat does not engage with you through a social contract or conceptual framework. It engages with something far more primal: your presence, your rhythm, your energy. To the feline psyche, you are not you, in the autobiographical sense. You are an entity, a shape that moves with patterns that become part of its internal world, a presence around which its universe forms and reforms. Symbolic presence is not a metaphor in this context. It is the most accurate way to describe how a cat perceives you. You are not a character in a narrative, as you might be to another person. Instead, you are a constellation of associations, behaviors, sounds, and sensations that build an inner image. Just as ancient humans understood gods not as literal persons but as expressions of cosmic principles, your cat understands you as a manifestation of certain functions: nourishment, comfort, disruption, warmth, security, and sometimes danger. You are not singular, but layered and changeable. When you feed your cat, you become the archetype of the nurturer. When you raise your voice, you embody the storm. When you vanish for hours or days, you become the unknowable void. These shifting expressions are not interpreted through logic, but through instinct, just as a dream does not need rational coherence to have deep emotional resonance. In the psychic world of your cat, you are a constant yet elusive symbol. You are something vast, not because you are large, but because you influence every corner of its environment. You are the orchestrator of change. Your footsteps become omens, your gaze becomes a signal, your silence, a mystery. Even when you are not present, your symbolic imprint remains. The places you frequent retain a residue of meaning. The sound of your keys, the rustle of your clothing, even your scent embedded in furniture and fabric, all form part of the symbolic structure that your cat navigates. These are not random stimuli. They are elements in a personal mythology where you are the central figure, yet never fully revealed. This way of perceiving is not unique to cats, but cats are particularly attuned to it because they do not rely on hierarchical or cooperative social structures like dogs or humans. They are solitary by nature, and in solitude, perception turns inward. The external world becomes an extension of the inner world. To your cat, you are both external and internal. It watches you with the same attention it gives to a flicker of light or the sound of prey, not with judgment or affection in the human sense, but with a silent, total absorption. You become an event, an atmosphere, a symbol it must constantly interpret and respond to. You are not seen, you are censored, felt through 1,000 small changes, a multitude of impressions layered over time. Your personality, your intentions, your moral character, these do not exist to your cat in the way they do to you. What exists are patterns, and patterns form meaning. Over days and months, your cat constructs an image of you composed of these repetitions and disruptions. But this image is not fixed, it is alive, mutable. One moment you are the quiet sunbeam through which it dozes. The next, you are the shifting shadow that startles it from sleep. There is no contradiction here. In your cat's symbolic understanding, all opposites coexist. You are both the comfort and the disturbance, the order and the chaos. It does not need to resolve this duality, because in its world, truth is not linear. This symbolic perception transcends the boundaries of language. Place here. There is no owner, no pet, no love or obedience, as we define them, yet there is recognition. There is a profound form of knowing, not of your identity but of your presence. Your cat knows you like a forest knows its wind, not by shape but by movement, not by name but by effect. It experiences your presence as a field of influence, something that defines the space without ever needing to declare itself. In this way, you are not merely part of the cat's world, you are the world in many respects. This understanding should not be mistaken for a lack of relationship. On the contrary, it is a deeply symbolic relationship, richer in some ways than the verbalized connections we form with other humans. Because it is symbolic, it touches on archetypes. It connects to unconscious structures that resonate with ancient emotional truths. You become the mother and the stranger, the source of plenty and the unpredictable trickster. You occupy a dreamlike position, one that resonates with the kind of figures that appear in myth, vision, and the unconscious mind. Your cat does not need to know who you are to know what you are in its reality, an eternal figure, shaped by behavior and atmosphere, always present, always beyond complete comprehension. And this is why the gaze of a cat can feel so disconcerting. It is not looking at you in the way another human might. It is not measuring your status or trying to understand your mood. It is looking through you, through your surface into the pattern beneath. It is registering the symbolic structure, interpreting your presence with the same intuitive intelligence it applies to shadows, sounds, and dreams. You may attempt to bond through affection, speech, or play, and these are received not as conversations but as rituals. Each gesture takes on meaning in the cat's inner world, not the meaning you assign, but meaning formed from association, from rhythm and memory. What you intend becomes secondary to what you represent. Even absence becomes a symbol. When you are gone, your absence is not a neutral state, it is a transformation. The world shifts, the routines dissolve, the food does not come, the door does not open. You become a mythic figure who has descended into the underworld. Your return, then, is not just a physical reappearance but a restoration of cosmic balance. You are the sun rising again. You are the axis upon which the environment turns. You become not a person returning to a pet, but a force re-entering a symbolic cosmos. You are a symbolic presence, not a person. You are the axis, the weather, the rhythm of the world. You are not seen, but felt. You are not understood, but interpreted. Your cat does not need to know your name or understand your language to know what you are in its world. To it, you are more than an individual. You are a myth, a force, a living symbol etched into the architecture of its experience. Your cat perceives you as a mythic force in its environment. This perception is not grounded in the human desire for narrative or structure, but emerges from the raw, symbolic psyche of an animal whose relationship to the world is defined not by logic, but by the intuitive resonance of presence and repetition. In your cat's reality, you are not simply a physical figure who shares its space. You are the central, unpredictable actor in a silent myth playing out in the rituals of daily life. You rise, you vanish, you reappear. You bring forth food from invisible places. You open doors that transform confinement into freedom. You are the one who controls the light, the warmth, the rhythms of noise and stillness. All of this elevates you to a position not of authority as we understand it, but of sacred, unpredictable power. A mythic force is not necessarily benevolent or malevolent. It is simply beyond the rules. It is the kind of presence that operates according to rhythms unknown to the smaller being it influences. For your cat, your patterns are like the seasons or the tides, Foreseeable to a point, yet ultimately mysterious. Your presence brings nourishment, attention, movement. Your absence shifts the entire tone of its world. You become the unspoken source of change, like the moon phases or the shifting sky. Your daily routine becomes a living myth, and in that myth, you occupy the space that ancient deities once held, not omniscient or perfect, but powerful, indifferent at times, intimate at others, and always outside full comprehension. When you speak, it does not hear language, it hears incantation. Your voice is not interpreted through grammar or syntax, but through tone, rhythm, and cadence. You are an entity that vocalizes the world into action. When you call its name, you invoke it. When you clatter the bowl, you summon the idea of food. When you sigh or cry or laugh, these are atmospheric changes that ripple through the air and alter the emotional weather. This is not anthropomorphism. It is the projection of symbolic significance onto phenomena your cat cannot analyze but must live through. You become not a person, but a phenomenon. And like a force of nature, your moods create environmental shifts. When you are joyful, the cat responds to an aura of ease, to loosened movements, to the sounds of harmony. When you are tense or angry, the air stiffens. Your cat may retreat, may disappear beneath the bed, not out of guilt or fear in the human sense, but in response to an unseen pressure. You are a weather system, a walking pressure field. You do not explain your actions, and your cat does not ask. It only adapts, and only reads the signs. Mythic forces do not justify themselves, they express themselves in patterns, and so do you, in your cat's perception. This positioning of you as a mythic presence is not the result of complex reasoning. It is an ancient kind of knowing that predates speech, predates civilization. It is the way small beings have always related to larger, unknowable ones. In the wild, this would be the role of predators, or the elements, or the mysterious source of nourishment. But in your cat's domestic world, it is you who occupy this space. You move through rooms with the authority of a dream character. Your shape is familiar, your sound is known, but your motivations are alien. Sometimes you play, sometimes you scold, sometimes you vanish for long hours, sometimes you remain still and inaccessible. You shift between roles without warning. The way mythic figures often do, embodying different powers depending on the needs of the moment. Consider the rituals that occur between you and your cat. Feeding is not just the delivery of food. It is a sacrament. It is the reoccurring miracle that validates your mythic status. The way you prepare the bowl, the timing of the offering, the sounds associated with it. These are rites. And your cat receives them not with gratitude in a human sense, but with the solemn expectation one might have for the sun rising. This ritual is not about affection or obligation. It is about continuity. You are the axis around which this ritual turns. You are the priest and the god of this tiny ceremony. Sleep is another ritual. When your cat sleeps near you, it is not simply because it finds comfort in your physical warmth. It is because, in that moment, your mythic force is dormant and peaceful. You are no longer the shifting, godlike figure who controls the house. You are quiet, and in your stillness, you become a safe center. Your breath becomes the rhythm of the world. Your body becomes a temple within which the cat curls. There is trust in that gesture. But it is the trust one gives to a powerful thing when it is at rest. Your comings and goings are watched not with logical concern, but with symbolic weight. When you pick up your keys, your cat does not think, they are going to work. It registers that something is about to change. A departure, a temporary fall of the divine. You are the source of rhythm and order, and your exit leaves a void. Your return restores the world. It is not dramatic, it is foundational. You do not return as yourself, but as the returning force that sets time back into motion. You are a mythic force because you are not required to explain yourself, and your cat does not demand clarity. It does not need to know why you do what you do. In this, it reflects the ancient human relationship with the unknowable. Just as early humans saw gods in the storm and fire in the sky, your cat sees power in you because of what you alter and how you move. You are not a peer, nor a servant, nor a parent in the literal sense. You are a symbolic figure through which the structure of daily reality is articulated. In your cat's world, objects are static until you animate them. A blanket becomes a hiding place when you fold it. A string becomes prey when you flick it. A door becomes a passage only when you open it. These are not just functional gestures, they are transformative. You are the one who gives things meaning through use. You are the enactor of change. In this sense, you are the mythic intermediary between the ordinary and the extraordinary, between the inert and the alive. Even your cat's name is a part of this. When you call it, you are not just labeling it. You are summoning it into focus, It hears its name not as an identifier but as a spell. The sound pattern becomes linked to attention, to presence, to interaction. It responds not because it understands itself as Milo or Luna, but because your voice has infused those syllables with significance over time. It is the invocation of the myth-maker, calling forth the being from the dream. Your home to your cat is a landscape of mythic proportions. Each room carries a different emotional temperature. Each window is a portal. Each threshold is a boundary between worlds. And you move through this space as the central figure, the one who has access to every hidden place, every forbidden drawer, every unreachable height. Your ability to transcend boundaries your cat cannot pass only deepens your mythic quality. You are the liminal being who walks both above and below, through doors and across thresholds, who knows what lies behind the closet and beyond the front door. You are the knower of secrets. To your cat, then, you are not simply a large mammal it cohabits with. You are the animating presence of its world. Shin, you are the figure around which the structure of meaning organizes itself. You are mythic not because you are seen as flawless or all-powerful, but because your actions shape the very nature of reality within the cat's perceptual field. You are unpredictable, ritualistic, emotionally atmospheric. You are the bringer of food, the maker of storms, the voice in the silence. You are the one whose movements ripple through its world like the old gods once did through fire, wind, and night. The relationship operates on instinct, not roles or language. This means that the dynamic between you and your cat unfolds in a realm untouched by social constructs or verbal agreements. There is no mutual understanding based on clearly defined duties, no shared contract of identity, and no hierarchy as humans understand it. Instead, there is a silent exchange, a communion grounded in behavior, repetition, sensation, and the rhythms of the body. The cat does not ask who you are in the way another person might. It does not require your biography, your beliefs, or your intentions. It responds only to what you do, how you move, the tone of your voice, the shape of your gaze, the invisible vibrations of your emotional weather. This form of relationship is not less than the humankind. It is older, more primal, and in many ways more honest. Your cat does not see you through a frame of reference that involves assigned roles. It does not recognize owner, master, parent, or even companion in the human sense. These are categories invented by the human ego to structure the world, to create order and emotional legibility. But your cat is not working within these confines. It does not need a name for the way it relates to you. It navigates the relationship through sensory memory and embodied experience. It notices patterns, that you appear at certain times, that you emit warmth, that your hands sometimes create comfort and sometimes disrupt. It does not analyze your role. It simply adjusts to your presence based on how that presence unfolds through time. You are not a noun to your cat. You are a process. This process is guided entirely by instinct. Not your instincts necessarily, but the cat's. Your cat is constantly scanning its environment for signs, for shifts, and for meaning embedded in movement and stillness. The way you approach, the slowness or quickness of your gestures, and the way your shoulders carry tension or relaxation, these are all reader's signals. It does not understand mood as a concept, but it knows the feel of agitation versus calm, of invitation versus withdrawal. There is no negotiation. There is only response. You are received through the immediacy of action. It is a dance without choreography, where each step is based on pure sensory information rather than on words or obligations. There is no linguistic bridge here. You may speak to your cat, and the cat may vocalize back, but this is not conversation in the human sense. The language in this relationship is pre-verbal. It is the rustle of clothing, the hum of appliances, the creak of footsteps, the ritualistic sound of a can opening, the sudden hiss of a door being shut. These are the communicative elements your cat truly attends to. These are not mere background noise. They are the vocabulary of your shared world. When you try to use human words, commands, praise, reprimands, your cat does not decode their meaning. It decodes your intent through volume, tone, cadence, and above all, context. The words are shadows, the tone is the substance. Instinct is also what governs trust in this relationship. Trust is not granted on the basis of perceived character or past declarations. It is earned in the moment, over and over, through consistency and the absence of threat. Your cat trusts you not because it understands your love or loyalty, but because it has sensed through hundreds of encounters that your touch does not harm, that your presence does not endanger. Trust is not an intellectual conclusion. It is a bodily relaxation, a reduction in alertness, a softening of the gaze, the choice to sleep near you without tension, These things cannot be fabricated or demanded. They arise through repetition, and only instinct decides when they are warranted. There is a profound simplicity in this. The relationship is stripped down to its most essential components: presence, behavior, sensory information. Without roles to uphold or language to misinterpret, there is a freedom that many human relationships lack. There are no lies in this kind of connection. You cannot pretend to be something you are not, because your cat does not care about performance. It only cares about what it feels, what it senses in your body language, your movements, your energy. If you are agitated, it will feel it before you speak. If you are calm, it may draw closer. If you try to feign affection while harboring annoyance, your cat will likely recoil. It knows the difference, not through thought, but through instinct. This instinctual relationship means that every interaction matters. Nothing is dismissed as inconsequential. Every touch, every step, every sigh, every glance contributes to the ongoing shaping of how you are perceived. You cannot correct a broken moment with an explanation. If you slam a door in frustration, you cannot say, "I didn't mean it." Your cat will not understand the rationale behind your mood. It will only understand the tremor in the environment and its own bodily reaction to it. Instinct does not require reasons. It requires only signals, and those signals speak louder than any spoken word. Ritual emerges naturally from this instinctive relationship. Because your cat is attuned to routine, it begins to build an inner map of your behaviors and predict what comes next. The moment you stir in the morning, the cat may rise in anticipation, not because it knows you are waking up as a concept, but because the subtle sound of sheets moving and breathing shifting has triggered an instinctive understanding that the rhythm is about to change. When you enter the kitchen at a certain time, your cat may appear, not because it knows the time, but because it has internalized the sequence of events. These rituals are not agreed upon. They evolve shaped by the natural instincts of the cat responding to your unconscious cues. There is also an absence of hierarchy in this instinctive dynamic. Your cat does not view you as dominant or submissive in any rigid sense. It may yield to your control over its environment, your ability to open doors, to provide food, to dictate access, but it does not mentally place you above or below itself. It evaluates each interaction on its own terms. If it desires contact and you respond gently, it leans in. If you push too hard, it walks away. These are negotiations without authority. Your role is not fixed, and neither is your cat's. There is an equality in this flux, one that stems not from social equality, but from the absence of constructed roles altogether. Even affection, in this relationship, is governed by instinct. Your cat may rub against you not because it has been trained to do so, but because its body is expressing familiarity and territorial bonding. It may knead your body with its paws as a vestige of kittenhood, a comforting motion with no need for explanation. These gestures are instinctual expressions of connection, rooted not in emotional vocabulary but in evolutionary behavior. You may interpret them as love, and perhaps you are not wrong, but the expression does not come from a place of reflection or abstraction. It comes from the depths of embodied instinct. The relationship is lived rather than thought about. It is not analyzed, questioned, or defined. It is sensed and responded to. And that may be why, for many people, the connection feels so profound. It bypasses the noise of language and the confusion of social expectations. It is not filtered through self-image or performance. It is raw, immediate, and strangely intimate. Your cat does not need to know what you are trying to be. It only knows what you are doing, what you are radiating, what you are becoming in that moment, and from that it decides, without deliberation, how to be in return. Your cat's gaze does not register your body as a complete, unified object in the way humans tend to recognize one another. Instead, it sees you as a collection of moving parts, sounds, textures, and temperatures, a phenomenon more than a figure. The human form dissolves under the cat's perception into something less fixed, more fragmented. Your hand is a soft pressure, sometimes comforting, sometimes intrusive. Your legs are towering columns that shift the floor's vibration with every step. Your voice is not yours. It is a sudden atmosphere that fills the air with tension or warmth depending on its tone. Your breath, your heartbeat, the way your clothes rustle as you move, these are all interpreted individually, as discrete signals. The cat does not synthesize these into a singular person, in the way a human mind would. Instead, each piece of you has its own meaning, its own effect, and your identity emerges only as a set of tendencies, not as a cohesive being. This perception stems from the cat's sensory world, which is not organized by symbols or categories, but by the immediacy of sensation. Where humans are trained to see a person and assign a name, a role, and a story to that image, the cat is reacting to gradients of sound, heat, motion, and scent. Your voice isn't tied to your name. It's tied to its effect on the space. Your footsteps are not evidence of your return home. They are vibrations that signal change, movement, disruption, or comfort depending on their rhythm. You are not you, as you imagine yourself. You are a changing field of sensory events, some of which soothe, some of which alarm, some of which offer pleasure, others uncertainty. The cat does not abstract, it responds. This fragmentation allows the cat to remain entirely in the moment with you, but it also means it does not recognize you in the way you might wish to be recognized. When you approach, your cat does not see the sum total of your past interactions. It experiences the qualities of your approach, your pace, the tightness of your shoulders, the angle of your gaze. It does not think, "This is my human who loves me." It feels whether your energy is familiar, whether it suggests safety or intrusion. It may rub against your hand not as a greeting to a person, but as an engagement with a specific part of the environment it has learned to associate with warmth or scent exchange. Your presence is never static. It is never one thing, it is a composite experience that must be interpreted again and again. Even your scent is not a stable signal. To a cat, smell is not a label, it is an unfolding story. Your odor shifts with what you've touched, what you've eaten, who you've been near, your hormonal state, your stress level. Each time you enter a room, you bring with you a new olfactory message. The cat reads this not with curiosity in the human sense, but with the same instinctive awareness that it might apply to a change in the wind. Your body carries an evolving code. You are not a person with a smell. You are a fluctuating chemical landscape, a walking field of data that must be navigated without interpretation or judgment. The cat does not decode you, it orients to you. This fragmentation of perception means the cat never assumes consistency. You are never just you. You are always emerging in the moment, piece by piece. Your hand that strokes its back may, in the next moment, become the hand that clips its claws. Your lap may offer softness now, but shift suddenly and become unstable. Your gaze may mean nothing now and signal something potent a second later. There is no essential self in this world. Only states, only gestures, only temporary constellations of stimuli that add up to a presence that can be tolerated, sought, or avoided. The cat does not expect you to be whole, and it does not rely on continuity. It accepts your multiplicity as part of the reality it must navigate. This is not a failure of intelligence or emotional capacity. It is a more ancient and elemental way of engaging with the world. The cat is not bound by the illusion of unity that humans impose upon themselves and others. It does not pretend that people are consistent beings. It does not require your parts to add up to a singular, trustworthy whole. It lives in a world of immediate impressions, and it decides based on them. It approaches your hand because that hand has been safe before. It withdraws from your body because the way you move today carries uncertainty. These decisions are not governed by memory or attachment, but by sensation and momentary alignment. The cat is not concerned with who you were yesterday. It responds only to who you are right now, in movement, in tone, in scent, in energy. This sensitivity extends to the spatial field as well. Your cat does not just see your body, it feels the space you occupy. The tension in your limbs radiates outward. The way you stand alters the room. Your emotions do not stay inside you, they leak into the air and affect the entire field of perception. Your cat may leave the room not because it disrespects you, but because your energy has become chaotic. It may approach and purr not as a gift to you, but as a way to settle the frequencies you are emitting. In this way, the cat relates not to your form, but to the aura of presence your fragmented body projects. The human desire to be seen as a cohesive individual finds no counterpart in the cat's mind. There is only this shifting now, and the way it feels. You are not above or below the cat in this scheme. You are simply another animal, another being in its perceptual field, albeit a large and unusually influential one. Your gestures carry weight, your movements reshape the terrain, but you are not regarded as a singular authority. You are an unstable pattern of phenomena. Sometimes these patterns align with the cat's comfort. Sometimes they disrupt it. The cat adjusts accordingly, without bitterness or reverence. It navigates your parts like terrain, sometimes soft, sometimes jagged, sometimes nourishing, sometimes strange. Even affection is received this way. A nuzzle is not a gesture returned for sentimental reasons. It is a response to temperature, texture, rhythm. It is instinct meeting stimulus. When your cat chooses to touch you, it is not declaring attachment in a symbolic sense. It is registering safety, comfort, curiosity, desire for warmth or scent exchange. These actions are not about identity, they are about bodily resonance. When it avoids you, it is not rejecting you. It is responding to a shift in tone, a tremor in the field. You cannot convince your cat of your intentions through words. You can only show up, part by part, and allow it to determine whether those parts add up to something tolerable in the moment. The human need to be seen in full, to be understood as a whole, to be accepted in narrative terms, does not apply here. The cat does not care for your narrative. It is not a witness to your personal growth. It does not remember who you were. It does not anticipate who you'll become. It interacts with your parts as they appear, adjusting moment by moment. You are not a name or a personality to your cat. You are a series of sounds, surfaces, movements, smells, and energies that coalesce briefly into a presence, and then, as quickly, dissolve again into something else. Your cat sees through you in the most literal and most unsettling sense. It does not see the face you wear for the world, the roles you perform, the masks you curate to make yourself legible to others. It sees straight through to the vibrations underneath, the subterranean field of your being where intention, tension, and truth reside, long before you clothe them in explanation. The human self is often a fiction held together by language, routine, and the expectations of others, but your cat does not subscribe to this fiction. It does not respond to who you say you are, it responds to what you ever are, before you even understand it yourself. This is why the presence of a cat can be so disarming, so uncanny. It will not flatter you, it will not validate your illusions. It knows the difference between calmness and suppression, affection and neediness, silence and avoidance. It makes these distinctions without effort, because it does not need to understand them in order to perceive them. You may present yourself to the world with a steady voice and measured gestures, but if there is a storm inside you, your cat will not be fooled. It will pick up on the shift in your breathing, the slight delay in your step, the way your energy spreads out too fast or contracts too tightly. The human world may applaud you for your composure, but your cat is already walking away, disinterested in the dissonance between your exterior and the deeper signal it receives. Likewise, when you are at peace, even in your most disheveled, unpresentable state, your cat may draw near, attracted not by your appearance or your actions, but by the invisible clarity of your being. The cat does not respond to your mask, it responds to the frequency of your truth. This truth is not something you can polish or manipulate. It leaks from your pores, lingers in your scent, hides in the way you inhabit a room. Your cat detects it not through mystical insight, but through a profound attunement to the real. The real. In this case, being the energetic coherence of your presence. Are you grounded or are you fragmented? Are you moving with purpose or are you leaking through every motion? Your cat reads these conditions with the same certainty that it might detect a predator in the grass. It doesn't need to analyze. It doesn't hesitate. It knows, and it acts accordingly. To be in the presence of this kind of perception is to stand naked in a way that language cannot cover. This is why people sometimes say that cats dislike certain individuals without reason. But there is always a reason, only it is not one we recognize because we have trained ourselves to look only for surface-level cues. A cat will dislike someone who is energetically unstable, regardless of how kind or charismatic they appear. Likewise, a cat will sometimes approach someone the world has deemed unworthy, someone broken, someone ignored, because that person in their brokenness has nothing left to hide. Their energy is congruent, their mask has cracked, and something true emanates from the fracture. The cat responds to that truth with curiosity, even trust. This has nothing to do with morality or status. It has everything to do with resonance. In this way, your cat becomes not merely an observer, but a mirror. Not a mirror of your behavior, but a mirror of your underlying state. It reflects not what you do, but what you are. This reflection is not always flattering. It may show you restlessness when you thought you were calm. It may show you neediness when you believed you were offering love. It may withdraw from you when you are trying your hardest to be kind, not because it rejects you, but because it senses the strain beneath the surface. This is not judgment, it is simply reaction. The cat does not reject your persona, it simply doesn't see it. It sees the rest of you instead. When you enter a room and your cat shifts its posture, opens one eye, flicks its tail, or turns away, it is registering the atmosphere you carry. Not just the physical scent of your body or the sound of your footsteps, but the entire tone of your presence. This tone is composed of hundreds of subtle signals: your breathing rate, the way your muscles carry tension, the depth of your gaze. the stiffness or fluidity of your movements. These signals are not under your control. You cannot rehearse them or disguise them for long. You might fool yourself or others into thinking you are okay, but your cat will sense otherwise and act accordingly. In this sense, your cat offers a form of feedback that is more honest than most human relationships. There is a reason why a cat will sometimes stare at you in silence, its eyes unblinking, its body completely still. This is not passive observation, it is a kind of direct reception. It is taking you in fully, not as a story but as a vibration. It is watching the way your breath moves through your chest, listening to the pitch of your stillness. In that moment, it is not interested in your voice or your words. It is interested in what is happening beneath the noise, in the substratum of your being. This is not spiritual in the abstract sense, it is somatic. The cat is reading the field of your body, and it is doing so with total presence, something humans rarely offer each other. That gaze does not flatter, but it also does not lie. This is why being truly seen by your cat can feel more intimate than being seen by a person. A person sees you through memory, association, expectation. Your cat sees you through no such filters. It sees only what is. In its eyes, you are not your array, your social role, or your self-image. You are breath, warmth, movement, rhythm. You are a pattern that shifts, a pattern that sometimes calms and sometimes disrupts. You are not judged, but you are registered. And the difference is crucial. The cat has no interest in punishing you for your incongruities. It simply cannot be bothered to pretend they aren't there. This level of perception can be unsettling because it denies you the comfort of performance. You cannot convince your cat that you are better than you are. You cannot trick it into believing a version of you that you have invented for safety. You cannot wear a smile and expect it to be taken as truth. The cat will sense the falseness of it, the tension behind it, and will withdraw accordingly. It is not cruelty, it is precision. The cat lives in a world where surfaces mean little and vibrations mean everything. It responds to coherence. If your interior and exterior align, no matter how flawed or raw you are, your cat will often remain near. If they do not, the cat may drift away, not in rejection, but in refusal to engage with unreality. This is why many people find the companionship of a cat both soothing and challenging. Soothing, because it offers presence without demand. Challenging, because it requires authenticity without negotiation. The cat does not need your perfection, but it does require your realness. It does not care if you are messy, tired, angry, grieving. It cares only that you are honest in your body about it. When your presence resonates with truth, even if that truth is difficult, the cat often responds with its own calmness, not affection necessarily, but a kind of alignment. You settle and it settles. The field stabilizes, and you are no longer two separate beings, but two expressions of the same quiet awareness. This awareness is not something you can access by effort. It arrives only when you stop performing, when you let the constructed self drop away and return to what is essential. The cat lives in this essential field at all times. It does not stray into the fiction of becoming. It does not aspire. It does not pretend. And it cannot abide the dissonance of those who do. When you sit with your cat in silence, and neither of you is trying to be anything other than what you are, something profound happens. You enter the field where language dies and being begins. Your cat was already there, waiting.